shouldn't have listened.
Something exhaled through the floorboards under my bed. The air vent stayed shut, but warm breath still lifted the dust. My phone's voice meter bounced, recording silence. Then a whisper came from between the boards. "Don't step there." I'm Megan. I rent the front half of a small ranch house with low ceilings and a crawl space you can only reach from a square hatch in the hall. The landlord said it was dry as a bone. He lied. It smells like wet cardboard after rain. The first night I heard it, the space felt charged, like a thunderstorm under the floor. I'd dropped a bobby pin and watched it roll to a hairline gap by the wall. When I leaned down, warm air touched my cheek from the wrong direction, rising from wood, not vent. I set my phone over the crack, hit record and waited. A soft breath synced with mine, half a beat late. "Don't step there," it whispered again, close enough to fog the glass. I told myself it was pipes. I avoided the gap and tried to sleep. Every few minutes, the underside breathed and paused as if it needed me to inhale first. At 2:23 a.m., I heard fingernails travel along joists, measured taps moving room to room beneath me. Next morning, I found sawdust beads along the hallway baseboard. The crawlspace hatch had shifted a fraction, like someone tugged from below. I duct taped it shut. The tape wrinkled from warm air pushing up. By night 3, the floor learned my route. When I stepped off the rug, the wood depressed a hair and a second step answered from under me, a perfect mimic, like somebody shadowing my feet from below. I slept on the couch. At 3:14, the couch frame clicked as if weight settled beneath it. I called the landlord. He came with a flashlight and bravado. "Raccoons," he said, kneeling at the hatch. He peeled the tape and lifted the door. Cool darkness breathed out. He stuck the flashlight in and frowned. No droppings, no prints, just dust. He slid in up to his shoulders to take a picture. His phone flash popped. He went very still. "Close it," he said, voice flat. I asked what he saw. He said, "Floor." But his hands trembled when he stood. He left without meeting my eyes and texted later, "If you hear it again, ignore it." That night, the whisper changed. "Don't step there," it warned, then tapped 6 times beneath the bed. I moved my foot. Another 6 taps answered from the hall, farther away, like something mapping me. I put flour around the hatch to catch prints. In the morning, the flour showed a smooth arc, no toes, no heel, like a palm pressed and dragged in a slow circle. In the arc were shallow grooves, 5 even lines, not claws, fingers. On the 5th night, I snapped. I opened the hatch alone, set the phone to record, and lowered it by the cord. The microphone picked up my breathing, then a lower, slower rhythm, not quite mine. The phone swayed, video jittering over joists, old insulation, a lost screwdriver. Then the camera. Steady. Something held it still. The cord pulled taut. My own voice came up from the speaker, half speed, half second late. "Don't step there." The cord twitched like a hooked fish line. I yanked it back. The phone returned with a slick smear across the case that smelled like hot dust and damp wood. Now I walk only on the rugs I've layered to make a path, and I sleep with books stacked around the hatch like a child's fort. The whisper still rises through the cracks, patient as breath. "Don't step there." I used to think it was protecting me from a rotten board. I don't think that anymore. I think it's protecting itself. and it knows exactly where I'll put my feet next. The hallway light switch clicked by itself from knee height. Dust sifted out of the baseboard in a thin line. My phone camera focused on the gap as if a face were peering back. Then my hand mirror slid across the floor and vanished into the wall. I'm Oliver. My apartment is a ground floor unit in a 1920s brick building with crown molding that looks more expensive than the rent. The super warned me about settling noises. I didn't expect the building to rearrange its stairs. I first noticed the low click while brushing my teeth. Light off, light on, but the switch didn't move. A soft draft cooled my ankles. When I knelt, dust trickled from a seam between baseboard and plaster. Behind it, hollow space breathed. I filmed it. The camera refused to focus on the room, hunting instead on the seam, locking onto nothing like it recognized an eye. I slid my shaving mirror to use as a periscope. The mirror bumped the baseboard, tilted and slipped into the crack as if fingers pulled it. I froze. The apartment's blueprint in my lease shows solid wall there. No cavity that size, no utility chase wide enough for a mirror. I tapped the board. The sound came back with stair rhythm, wood on risers, descending, descending, then a soft stop like a landing. At 2 a.m., my downstairs neighbor texted, "Are you pacing? It sounds like stairs above me." There are no interior stairs in my line of the building. I pressed my ear to the seam. Faint breathing answered from below, then upward like someone climbing, then pausing with their mouth at the crack. A whisper reached me, low and careful. "Keep quiet when you go down." I don't remember deciding to pry it. A butter knife, patience, and the board loosened with a sigh. Behind it, dark, cool air and the suggestion of a step. Not finished carpentry, raw treads, worn to a shallow shine. The smell was old wool, damp pennies, and the metal tang of stairs that remember wet shoes. I slid my phone through and hit record. It saw downward, 10 steps, a turn, 10 more, then a black square where the light failed. Something moved in that square, just pressure, the way darkness feels heavy in a closed closet. The phone vibrated and dimmed, battery dropping 20% in a minute. Then a breath on the microphone, not mine, said, "Hurry." I pulled the phone back and replaced the board. I don't know why. Fear, maybe, or the sense that opening it all the way would make the downstairs noises become upstairs. The next night I woke to the sound of someone walking those steps slowly, the tread groaning under deliberate weight, stopping where the seam meets my ear. I held still. The whisper returned. "Hurry." I asked the super for the original plans. He shrugged. Basement laundry, crawl spaces, nothing else. I asked my neighbor if she'd ever seen a stairwell under her ceiling. She said when she moved in, the baseboard in her place had new nails, like something had been sealed up lately. Last night, the hollow space felt too full. The air was warm, breathing in sync with my own. I set the mirror's replacement, a cheap compact, near the seam. It flipped open by itself. The glass reflected a staircase landing behind the wall that doesn't exist in my world. A shape stood there, not a person, an outline of absence, like a place where someone should be. "Keep quiet when you go down," it whispered again, closer, urgent. Not a threat, a warning about sound carrying. I haven't gone yet, but I know the steps are waiting. Not stairs to a basement, stairs to a parallel where my building kept its old service passage, and something still uses it at night. If I go, I won't tell anyone. The warning wasn't for me. It was for whatever hears me when I'm halfway down. Knocks came from beneath our nursery floor, one for each of my footsteps. The CO detector chirped once, then again, though the battery was new. The building plan showed no basement under our unit, and the rug bulged in the corner like breath trapped under it. I'm Hannah. My husband Mark and I bought a narrow townhouse, one of those rehabbed places where they keep the crown molding but hide everything else behind fresh paint. Our inspector said no sublevel beyond crawl space. We believed him. After we set up the crib, the floor tapped back whenever we crossed the room. Not random, exact. My heel, then an echo from the joists. We blamed pipes until the CO detector chirped at the same rhythm as the knocks. It's hardwired. It shouldn't chirp. At midnight, I put my ear to the floor. I heard faint shuffling, cloth against wood, and breathing, slow and practiced, like someone timing breaths to match ours. I tapped twice. Something tapped twice back from directly under my ear. We pulled the rug. The boards there bowed slightly, like a lung under ribs. In the corner, a nail head had been replaced with a tiny brass circle, a keyhole. There's no record of a trapdoor in our permit files. City maps show solid fill, no old coal room. Still the keyhole watched us like an eye. Mark said to leave it. I said to at least test it. We slid a paperclip in. The circle rotated a quarter turn and the boards settled, exhaling a draft that smelled like old wool and someone else's house. We didn't open it. We put the rug back. That night the knocks were soft, patient, like fingertips on an inside wall. At 3:06, the CO detector chirped and the baby monitor, video off, played a sound like a hand smoothing fabric. The next morning I emailed the previous owner. She replied, "We never used the crawl space. We kept a dresser over that corner." No smiley face, no explanation. We tried to pretend it wasn't there, but the floor learned us. When I rocked the baby, the boards hummed faintly in time. When Mark walked in, the echo took his stride, heavier, slower. On the fourth night, I set my phone to record on the floor with a towel over it. The audio showed a low-frequency thrum under the knocks, like a generator far away. When I boosted the volume, I heard words, ours, looped back half a second late, as if a room below were copying our conversation and giving it back. "Do you hear that?" my whisper said. "Do you hear that?" the lower voice answered. The rug bulged again. It rose and fell once like a held breath released. The baby didn't cry. She stared at that corner with the quiet focus she uses on faces. We agreed to move the crib just for a night. When we lifted it, the floor under the legs felt warm. Not hot, body warm. At 2:40 a.m., the keyhole clicked by itself. A line of light appeared around the rug edge. Not electric light, thin daylight, like what you see through old attic boards. I pressed my palm over it. Something pressed, back, flat and cool, matching the shape of my hand perfectly. I felt the faintest scratch of nail. We didn't open it. We pushed the dresser over the corner like the last owners did. We pretended we were practical grown-ups making a practical choice. The knocks haven't stopped. They're gentler now, traveling to where the crib used to be and tapping there instead. Patient, like someone standing in the room below who can only touch our floor and wait for the weight of a sleeping child to return. If that room opens, and it will, eventually, it won't be because we found a key. It'll be because the room below knows our schedule better than we do. It's already learned our footsteps. The rest is just timing.